Welcome, guys, to a major treat that you're going to enjoy today. For those that are joining us for the first time, I'm Dr. Latifat. I'm a physician and also the founder of MoneyfitMD. Every single thing that we do here is for one purpose only, is to help you live your rich life, have more money, and create wealth. And as part of that, I have the honor and privilege of bringing you an amazing physician, a badass that I've known now for a couple of years. She's one of our members inside of the Money School, and she's just an example of what it means to take courageous steps. So I am having Dr. Funke Alabi Brown come hang out with us today. Welcome, Doc.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Latifa.
So we're gonna go straight right into this. And I'm just gonna ask you, how is it being your own boss?
Woo! My boss is tough. She is she's a tough one. She whoops my backside from time to time. So but honestly, it's been the scariest, the the most one of the most challenging things I've ever done, but still one of the most gratifying. Really being able to say, I call the shots, I call my shots, and I make decisions that I end up being responsible for 100% of the time. And so I'm having a blast.
How long have you been in your own, have you owned your own practice now?
So my own practice, I've owned going up to a year. Um, but I really started working towards, I'd started Restful Sleep MD, which really is a platform where I provide empowerment, I would call it, for women and children with sleep issues. And so I was doing coaching, I was speaking and consulting, running workshops, and all that. Until I really, it was the missing link. Owning my practice was, when you almost feel like I started feeling like I was leading people to the stream. And then I wasn't giving them a cup to get the water. So, especially when it came to the medical piece of it. So the coaching was fine. I was coaching women and women, moms and things like that on how to help their kids sleep. But then if there was a concern that there was an underlying sleep disorder, like an organic treatable sleep disorder, or they needed medication, the very sleep physician, would have to refer them because if they're not within my employed institution, I legally can't necessarily treat them. So that piece was really the missing piece. And so I started that, coming to a year now.
I remember when this was a dream for you. Tell us a little bit for those that I haven't met you. So I kind of started in the middle of the journey, but let's go back a little bit
Mm.
and tell us about what your medical career looked like up until a year ago.
Yeah. So I'm a sleep physician. I'm also a pediatrician and a pulmonologist. So I have a whole lot of training. And I had this idea of just riding all the way up the academic ladder, which I was doing very successfully as a high achiever, until I got to a point sometime during the pandemic where I just felt stuck. I felt like my ladder was leaning on the wrong building. And so I had to make a decision to just step out and reach out to the more that was calling for me. So prior to that, I was, again, in an academic institution. I was still, seeing patients. I was mentoring fellows. I was writing papers, doing research, all the things. And, but I really started to feel that sense of frustration, like I was really not where I needed to be. And so I made that decision, to start my own, coaching and speaking practice, which was Restful Sleep MD. So that was back in 2021. And so it really started off from just creating an awareness of how important sleep was and helping people understand how they could harness sleep, as it were. And then from there, that kind of rapidly evolved into coaching moms, and I did that for a couple of years, and then I made a decision, which was, that was, I think before that was when I joined, um the MoneyfitMD program, because I didn't know money. I was one of those people that just delegated that to my husband. I didn't want to see anything. I just wanted to spend it, and spend it was something I was good at. And so I think realizing one that I could create wealth and I had that ability in me was something that then helped me say, okay, if I'm allowing myself to dream up this wealthy life, which you can't put a price tag on, what would I do? And so one of the things I wanted to do was start my own practice. I couldn't do that initially because all I kept saying was, but the money, but the startup cost, but the. And so I had to put that but the to the side and say, what would it look like if I started this? And so I went after it very, very scared. I announced at my job that I was leaving this. I was already an associate professor, which is like everybody's striving to be that. So people thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. And so then I left, and then of course responsibly I had a plan, so I took on locums, which is the I think that's the advantage of being a physician. You have options, so I wasn't just going to jump in without a plan. So looked at our finances to kind of get a sense of what we needed, and then took on locums just to make sure I was getting some income in. This way, when I'm building my practice, I'm building it in a way that's really true to me rather than from a place of grabby, oh my goodness, please let me see patients or else, right? So that really gave me that flexibility or that cushion to really design my practice the way I want. And so here I am, a day after I was telling you just before. Initially, it's been growing and it's growing. We're still we're still at the beginning stages, but to think that now I went from being tired because I didn't feel like I was seeing progress to being tired because I saw quite a number of patients today. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful type of tired.
I love it. So let's go back to that point where you were employed and in academia and
Mm,
climbed the ladder and you had achieved what many people desire to achieve.
mm,
But there was that thing, that more. I think sometimes when we say more, people don't understand what that means. But what did
mm,
that feel like for you? Because there may be someone that's listening right now that's like, I can't put into words what I'm
mm.
feeling. What was that for you? What did that feel like?
So I usually give this analogy. So I'm a sleep physician. So of course it's going to be related to sleep. There's a condition called restless leg syndrome. Now, restless leg syndrome is this neurological condition where you have this almost an uncontrollable urge to move. You just feel it. Only you feels it. Nobody else. It doesn't necessarily show on the outside. And it's uncomfortable. And if you don't move, you feel awful. But when you move, you feel some relief. And then if you pause, you start to feel that urge again. It's kind of creepy, crawly sensation. Only people that experience it can describe it. And so that more for me is completely different from everybody else's. I would say the same way those RLS symptoms feel different for everybody else. But what I knew was where I was not all there was to what I was supposed to achieve. And if I kept doing the same thing I was doing, I would still be successful. No doubt I would be. But I would leave and say, oh, was this all? And so I moved forward and thought of myself. I gave myself 10 years, like 10 years down the line. If I'm doing the same thing, would I feel like, oh my gosh, Funke, you were doing the absolute thing you were supposed to do? And the answer was a resounding no. So then I now played it. I kind of reversed engineered it and said, then what do I need to do to make sure I'm moving in that right direction towards being who I wanted to be? And so I think that more like like again, like RLS, it's really hard to put in words, but when you feel it, you know it. You can see it in women's eyes. You look at them, you say, you got them all, right? You got them all. And absolutely.
So your more led you to coaching that you did
Hmm.
with starting your own coaching practice and helping people, but you still did not feel complete.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you at any point think that this was going to be an infinite? journey of dissatisfaction. And maybe you were crazy and you just needed to be satisfied with what you had, right? Because that comes up for
Mm.
many people. So I'm curious, did you think you were the problem and maybe you just needed to be satisfied with your life instead of doing this crazy thing?
I think I think a little bit of both. I feel like, you know, I sometimes could be someone who gets very restless very quickly. I'm bored and constantly need action. Otherwise, I just incite drama. So I think there may be a touch of that. And in terms of what I did, like it didn't just come to me as start coaching. Like I had not done coaching. I had no clue what I was doing, but I knew I needed to take a step. So this was what I did. I was fully employed. Um, but I also realized I didn't even have enough time to think about what I needed to think about because I was so busy, like good busy, but sometimes not that great busy. And so I cut back on my time. And I think every woman physician needs to just point eight is your starting point, as far as I'm concerned. But that's a different talk for another day. So I started with that. But guess what that freed me up to do? To even think. Because sometimes you're just spiraling, you're running this hamster wheel race that you don't even have a time to pause because on the weekends you're running everything, you're trying to catch up, and then on the beginning of the week you start all over. So that gave me the ability and the space to even say, where am I? What do I want? That gave me the ability to sit with myself, as uncomfortable as it was. And then I said, what do I have? Because I think about where I'm going, and it's big, it is grand, it is obnoxiously scary. But I'm not there yet because this version of me is not the one that's going to be there. So I knew I needed to change, I needed to evolve. And so that evolution needed to become bite sized steps. And so, what did I have? Right? Start from where I am was I love to talk, I love to inspire and encourage people. So, I started to use my platforms to just speak for free, give talks, give a little mini workshops here and there, do, Facebook lives and stuff on, hey, y'all, sleep is a thing, sleep is a thing. Have you ever thought of making sure sleep is a priority? And it literally then, because I started with what I had was a very small following on Instagram at that time, on Facebook as well. But I started with that. I started to put myself out there. And that gained um, some attention where people said, hey, I think you should come speak to our X, our Y, our Z about this thing you're talking about. It seems like you're onto something. And so then I evolved to become that person who gets paid to speak. I couldn't imagine people paying me. I'm like, I do this all day, every day, and twice. So why would anybody want to pay me? So I had to evolve in that to become that person that gets paid to speak. And then during the speaking journey, I started to see people say, hey, I have this unique issues and that unique issues. But of course, during that time, I'd already started with your program. I'd already joined the Entre MD Business School. So I already started to know, I'd already started doing, active coaching. And so I knew what that looked like. And so I was able to then bring on the coaching arm. And then I started getting to, oh, my kid's snoring and, I don't know, we need medicine and things. Then I had to evolve again to say, I think it's time for the practice. And so I started at point eight and I slowly started cutting down as this other thing that was almost like a, side gig in air quotes became more of, oh my goodness, I think this is it. Until I was now ready to say, okay, I think I'm ready to let go of academia. And so, yeah.
I love how you broke that down because many times people hear massive action
Mm,
and you think 0 to 100 overnight. But you
mm,
talked about the micro evolutions and
mm-hmm,
they were scary, but there were steps that you could take. Start speaking, right?
mm,
And then as you stepped, the things started opening up. So you went from stuck to stepping to moving,
mm,
right? And even though the general picture, the long term picture is not clear yet, you just
mm,
kept on stepping and moving. And all those opportunities existed in the
mm.
world.
Yeah,
You just were not the person that had said yes yet.
to them. Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that's a such an important thing because many people go, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to what my interests are. And I think part
Mm,
of it is because we're kind of waiting at that get at the start and hoping that we can see beyond before we even get started.
mm,
So I'm
mm.
curious to hear what your thought is about that point.
I absolutely think so. I think it's especially for physician women, we like it all planned out. Like we want to be in control of every single detail. But I would say entrepreneurship is absolutely one of the messiest things I've done, which is just start. Just start. Start with something. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Because even if you had, peradventure, you're one of the lucky few who did have this entire blueprint of your entire life all drafted out, it's going to change because you will evolve. And so I think it's just really giving yourself that permission to do it. And I think that was something that helped me. Like I know that I'm speaking to you now, 2 years, 1 year from now, will be both of us would have evolved. So again, it's that constant work, but it comes back to that inaction can be just so frustrating. It just doesn't want, you don't want to be in a place where you're stuck there. And I always just say, like, I just ask myself, okay, in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now, if I look back on this decision, of not taking action, how would I feel? I might feel a bit disappointed in myself, right? I mean, I'll give myself grace, all that, but I probably will feel disappointed in myself that I didn't take that. So I would say just take, go in, lean in with curiosity, um, and take that action.
How important is what's community for
Mm,
you in getting you along in those moments
mm,
of stuck or fear
mm.
or all that stuff? How important was community and how did that help you or not help you?
Everything. It was everything because there are not many people that are doing the things we're doing. Either there are not many women that are looking at their finances. I think even just that, there are not many people, women who are actually interested in really building true wealth. There are not many women who are interested in owning their own organizations and being like thought leaders in that. So I think we're just unicorns, as it were. So that means people like us are not many. And so people like us gather in certain places called communities. And it is hard to do this on your own. I mean, I think I have quite a number. I'm in a number of communities. I have quite a number of friends, and I've been in some of the communities I've been when it's like, what's wrong with you? Why are you not satisfied? People will give half their limbs to do and have what you have. And so if I stayed there and I let that, and I sat in that mindset, I would not be where I am. And so I love those communities dearly. I still, pay, participate, but I don't share these kind of things because it's foreign to them. And so I have to then either find or curate it, make it make sense. Find a group of people that I can talk to and say, yo, I have a whole lot of money, but I want more. What do you guys think? Am I crazy?
And they're like, welcome home.
Exactly, exactly. Or to be able to share, like, man, I have no clue what I'm doing. Like, I think I just made the biggest blunder and I just want to shut it all down. And they'll say, yeah, we've been there. Come, have some ice cream. So I think that piece is so critical. Or like you're saying, like, I'm in this business. So of course I think what I'm doing is perfect. But then there are people that look from outside and like, okay, what are you thinking? And they will call you out in a loving way, but to make sure that you're not going the wrong way. And there are people, of course, who are light years ahead of me, right? Who have walked this walk, made those mistakes, and they're constantly committed to saying, we don't want you to make those same mistakes. So do this, do that, and don't do this. So I think that is just so powerful.
So I know you mentioned earlier that for you, you knew that you had the more, you wanted to start your practice, but you're like, but money, but money, but
Mm,
money. So How was that? Talk to us about that journey to being stuck from your dream that is now, that you live in now, because of money, and what helped you in that transition to even saying yes to getting the support, the coaching, or the help that you needed to be able to take care of that so that you can create what you now have?
Um, I would say probably a couple of things. I think just taking that bold step. And I also had to work on that, that kind of scarcity mindset. Like when those thoughts would come, I would rapidly, very quickly, just spiral and land under a bridge, homeless, my kids taken away because I didn't have any more money. Right? And so I think a lot of the coaching helped being able to sit and say, okay, this is a thought. I have this bank account. It's not reading the numbers I want to read. Well, but what am I going to interpret that to mean? Does that mean I'm a failure? Does that mean I'm going to get my house repossessed or whatever? Right? Absolutely not. Right. And so really being able to be in that position where I could lean into my thoughts without judgment, just observe them like, wow, my dear, this beautiful brain of yours and the kind of thoughts you can come up with. Right. And I do this exact same process when I'm working with women when it comes to their sleep. And then just question it like, is it valid? What is the evidence, right? That you will have zero income. Worst case scenario, take on, I don't know, take on anything. You'll find a job, right? So I had to play that and question it and then offer myself an alternative to say, what if this all just works out beautifully? Right? What if it does? What would happen? And then from there, then take action, right? So it wasn't just like, oh, okay, now I've replaced scary thoughts with happy ones. I'm just going to sit. No, then say, okay, based on what I know now, that is actually the truth versus this random thoughts my mind is offering me. What do I need to do? So if I needed to take a loan, I would take a loan. If I needed to source out funds from friends and family, I would source out funds from them. If I need to do some locums, I would do some locums. So options then started to open up once I gave myself permission to question those thoughts and offer myself alternatives.
I love that so much. And I think that's such a great example of going from the scarcity thoughts
Mm,
to more abundant thought, where the thought was, this is my only source,
yeah.
versus actually, no, I have many sources. And we became physicians for many reasons to do good in the world. But I actually think that our MD degree can sometimes
Mm,
limit us from seeing that there are other things we're
possible.
qualified to do
Mm,
even outside of that degree. So as you were talking, that's what came to mind in terms of
mm,
like the degree should be an asset, but it's okay to take that hat off when you're thinking of how can I make money even
mhm.
outside of being a physician so that you're not limiting yourself.
Yep.
What I'm gathering is that from what you're telling me, your relationship with money, I mean, I know because I'm your coach, so I know. But what you're saying is that your relationship with money has changed over the last year and a half.
Absolutely.
What does that look like in your life? Like from a practical perspective, how is that playing out? What does that change in relationship with money look like as a woman, as a business owner, as a mama, as a wife, as a badass? What does that look like?
So I think a couple of things practically. You know, I didn't used to budget. I didn't want to because then that would mean I would have to. I felt budgeting or like spending, having some kind of tracking system for me was just like going to be too glaring and it would expose me. I don't know how to put it, but I just found out that, actually knowing where I was sending my money was one of the most empowering things I could do. And so, I think I started off with Mint. Let's just see. And it was a practice it's a practice that I've now built consistently. We fell, I would say like I got distracted for a few months, but I picked it up and I started doing this with my husband. We never used to because money, we didn't even know how to have those conversations. Like the end of the day was you're spending too much, cut back. And for me, I'm like, cut back what? I need all these things. I need more. But I couldn't, there was nothing to look forward to because I wasn't looking at anything. So now when I saw, I'm like, oh, girl, look at how that, look at the grocery bill. That's, oh my goodness. Did you have to, so it then started to help me to say, okay, I make that choice not to spend my money this way. I choose to find a way to invest in assets and not liabilities. And then based on that, and I think that was phenomenal growth for me, right? Because all I kept saying was, I'm trying, but there was nothing to look forward to. And then we set the big audacious goal to invest in real estate, which in my lifetime, I just thought, I don't think it's for us. Where are we going to find that? Like how, where, what? But then again, that same mindset, moving to that mindset of abundance, what if we did? What would we need to do? Right. And so I think that really has empowered us. It's still a very scary, we're still in the very early phases, but the fact that I've even allowed myself to think big enough to take that kind of action has shown tremendous growth compared to where I'm coming from.
So good, so good. And I mean, you put in the effort
Mm,
because you could hide in your house and no one was going to find you. You could look successful on paper and nobody would say you're an underachiever if you didn't start your own practice. And
mm,
starting a practice may not be for everybody, but for you, that was you unfolding your life,
mm,
right? And nobody would fault you because on paper you looked good.
mm,
But,
mm.
one of the questions that I asked you when we first started was, is your boss treating you well? Right? And it's just so amazing to see you doing the things you're doing, being creative, being audacious, right? And I love something you said earlier. You said the future that I have is like obnoxiously scary. But I also know that for you, it is impossible for you not to do it because you keep taking bite-sized steps.
Mm,
And I think that is just a great example that I wanted people to see because so many people are stuck in not starting. And for many of them, it is an unhealthy or unhelpful relationship with money, right? And I always tell people that it doesn't matter how much you earn. If your relationship with money is not
yeah.
healthy, you're going to be as broke as you were when you're a med student.
Mm,
Money may be coming in, but does not mean you're keeping it. Money may be coming in, but does not mean you can not work and still have money if you're not investing and diversifying your income
mm,
source, even if it's for the long term. So I love how practical you broke the steps that you're taking and how that is showing up in your life actively.
mm.
I am curious, as a mom, tell us about that. How is this impacting your kids, your relationship with money and the change?
I would definitely say my kids have seen so much growth and they're learning. My son, got a summer job, his first summer job, and has been so intentional about, you know, choosing what he spends the money on. And I think they're understanding it because they're watching. I definitely have tried to keep them in the loop. They've seen the ups, they've seen the downs, they've seen the decisions we've made, and they're enjoying that process. They're seeing us grow as well. I think the other piece that I've loved about this is the fact that being my own boss means I get to choose how I spend my time, including time with them, because we were both running out of the house in two different directions, coming back home exhausted, drained, and very irritable. So this is really giving me time to say, hey, even if it means just having my daughter sit with me in my office and I don't know, help with something or whatever, like it's helping us build deeper, better connections. Or at night during our routine, our bedtime routine, when we're talking or going over our day, like I'm bringing them in. Like, guess what, guys? I had the busiest day, and everybody's cheering about that because they've seen me say, nobody showed up. And they say, Mommy, don't give up. It'll work, you know? And so I think that's been just so powerful in all of this.
I
Yeah.
love it. How old is your oldest?
He's 15.
That's exciting. That's exciting. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
These kids are watching, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're watching. And many times I have people reach out and say, do you know how I can teach my kids about money? And I'm like, you're their first teacher because the conversations you're having at the dinner table,
Mm-hmm.
it is literally what becomes the foundation of their money story. You
Yeah.
know, a couple of, I think it was last week, randomly, you know, kids' brains are like interesting. My daughter comes to me and goes, Mommy, which one would you choose? My 11-year-old. Would you choose low risk, low reward or high risk, high reward? And I was
Oh.
like, let me think about it for a second. And that led to a conversation
Mm.
about different kinds of assets and how we think about assets and whatever. And, you know, things like, well, if I can invest, then maybe I don't need to work. And so she's telling her younger sister, if you guys learn how to invest, you don't need to work. And so we got to talk about the benefits of work because I believe
Mm.
work has benefits, right?
Mm.
And I just sat down and I'm like, if I was not the person that could have this conversation with them, it would be uncomfortable and I would just like, guys, just go play with your toys or just
Yeah.
go do something else,
Yeah.
right? But all those little conversations, the 5 minutes here, the 1 minute there, the 2 minutes, literally becomes a foundation, you know, because if we're talking about generational wealth, which is something that I believe in, generational wealth in terms of what you pass on to your kids will mean nothing if your kids are not the kinds of people that can build with generational wealth, right? We hear people win the lottery all the time. And these conversations, your kids seeing you do the grit, go through discouragement and still do it, disappointment and still do it, celebrate the big wins, the small wins, right? All that is literally imprinting their foundation in a way that I wish more emphasis or more conversations were had about. So I'm glad you shared that with us as well.
So powerful. Yeah, thank you. It's we're all learning about this together. We're all learning it together, and I think that's what makes it really fun.
I love it. I love it. So if there's someone sitting right now and they're like, okay, Dr. Funke, your past self is me. I can't even tell anybody. I can't even ask for help. I'm just like hiding here. I have all this, you know, journals with my name on it. I have all this award stuff, doc stuff, but I'm just like, I want more, but I'm the person in my family that's done the most. How do I take the leap? Like, what is one or two tips that you can share? And I know we've already shared a lot, but what comes to your heart that you can give to them as a gift that can help them so that they can become our next inspiration in just a few years too?
A few things. I think you need to sit with yourself. You have to do that work. That work of just sitting and thinking through what do you want, allowing yourself to dream. Like put the accolades and the titles and the publications to the side a bit. Put your bank account and the information it is providing you to the side a bit, and just allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to just imagine, what would life look like if I was living my best life. And a few things would come up. It doesn't necessarily mean like a business plan would come up. It may be saying, I see myself traveling across, cross continents. I see myself speaking on multiple stages. I see myself traveling to other countries to provide, to make healthcare accessible. Okay, so that's a big, big, big dream, right? That's a free dream that is absolutely possible. And then I want you to step back and try to connect the dots and say, what would I need? What would it look like for me to then just take one single step um to get there? Okay. It might be it might be going online, doing finding a community of people who have done the same. Because trust me, there's so many people like you, like me, that have gone through that. And leaning in just out of curiosity, there's so much. Big shout out to MoneyfitMD. I'm just putting it out there. But Facebook has so many groups um, of people that want to do more. And I think that might be a place to start. And then from there, you can say, okay, right now where I am, what is one step, another step I can take? For me, it was just like, okay, I'm just going to start posting online about what sleep is because it's what I enjoy to do. It's what I'm really good at. I didn't even know at that time it was something I could get paid for, um, which has now become my thing. But if I didn't take that first step, I would not have been able to. I would not have been able to make it what it is right now.
I love it. Thank you for that. I just love your kind, gentle approach, I have to say. No, I definitely do. Um, because again, there's no one size fits all.
Mm,
And, you as a member of the money school, I think about your style and I think about the different people, just
mm,
different people have their style.
mm.
And so just making sure that when you're finding a community, everybody doesn't have to be like you.
Yeah.
There has to be some commonalities, shame
Mm,
free, judgment free. Um, know who the coach would be, follow them, make
mm,
sure that their language speaks to you. But what I love about our communities, I mean, you can speak to this actually, the
mm-hmm.
diversity we have in
Mm,
there. Um,
absolutely.
sometimes it's like we're behind a curtain and I want to pull out the curtain like so you can like just tell us a little bit. What do you think about it? What's
Oh
your
my
thought?
goodness. I think that's one of the things I love. Everybody is so unique. It's just a place to hang out. It's so laid back in a good way, right? Doesn't mean action. I mean, these women are taking crazy action, like insane, right? And I think you will find while there's so much uniqueness with everybody, there's a commonality in everybody. There's a commonality that ties us together. We all are women who want to do better for ourselves, for our communities, for our children, for the world. And in some area or the other, we feel stuck, but we found a place where we can constantly make sure that we're moving forward. Again, in a way that's judgment free. So you don't feel hustly, because I think that's the thing. Sometimes you're in a community where you're just like, oh my God, I'm so behind. You come in and you feel so, you're constantly behind and you feel that self judgment and things. No, okay, you're here. Let's celebrate that as a win. How about that? You literally hit join and you join the Zoom call or whatever. Like that is huge. And you get celebrated for what in your mind may seem to be the tiniest progress, but it is such a big deal. And then, you have someone who says, hey, I joined, to someone who says, oh, we just closed on another deal. And it's the same joy, energy, love, or to someone who says, I just wanted to shut everything down today, right? It's the same energy, love that you're living with. And I think that's just such a beautiful and unique space. I mean, people from various backgrounds, various specialties, people who are, employed, people who are self-employed, people who are no longer super actively practicing clinical medicine. Like there's just such a wide array, which is why I say you will find yourself in all these women's stories. So I just think it's such a powerful community.
Absolutely. And, I love and I like to be real on the podcast. And, entrepreneurship is not something that I entered into lightly or voluntarily. I was like, oh, I don't want to. However, I have this knowledge. I have this, and I know how to do it. And I've helped people and I'm seeing the results. And it felt almost wrong to not share this
Mm,
with more physicians, right? But even as the coach and creator of the group, like there's so much that also happens outside of me of just like women supporting others.
mm,
And there are times when I sit back and I just like hear the amazingness of women and I just hear the hearts and I hear the things we're doing, the needles we're moving. Dr. Funke, seeing her from like going like, I remember when we celebrated you getting, I think you stopped taking call or so was what we celebrated. And then you got an award. And then the next thing it's like, she's out, she's out, she's out. And just like seeing the humanity in that process that many people don't get to experience
mm,
because people see the challenges they're going through, but they think other people are not going through that challenge. The only difference is that she decided that her future and her dreams were more important than the fears that were holding her
Mm,
back. She decided that she was just not going to live a life of regret. And that is what made her take the leap, even when it was hard. And I just want to celebrate you. I know that I have, but I also just want to celebrate you on the podcast for just doing the things you're doing and doing it imperfectly, doing it on your own terms, doing it in your own style, asking for help in the journey because one tree does not create a forest, right?
mm,
And it's badass. People think it's badass to not need help. It's actually badass to get help
mm,
because you're like, I could waste all my time, I could waste all
mm.
my energy, but I'm badass enough to not do that and just ask. And I want to just honor you for that. And I'm just stuck on you calling your future obnoxiously scary. I cannot wait. I love obnoxiously scary
I know,
because it's
right?
good. It's good
Hmm.
stuff. And, we're here to support you. And, I see people listening to this podcast that we're recording, and I know it's going to encourage so many people. If someone is like, okay, I'm glad I heard her. I want to like go snoop on her and see what she does. Where can I find her or message her or cause everybody in the mama got sleep problems, by the way. I know cause I'm a GI doc and a third of my patients just need better sleep and the IBS would get better.
Mm,
So where
mm.
can they find you?
That is so true. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. So on Instagram, I'm at Restful Sleep MD, and then I'm also that on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Dr. Funke Brown. And then my website is a good place too because it pulls everything together, and that's restfulsleepmd.com. So restfulsleepmd.com. So that's where I reside. I also have a YouTube channel as well. So if you go on my website, you'll find all those links. And then also, if you want to email me, you can contact me through the website as well. So lots of spaces.
Fantastic. And we'll make sure we get your contact information so we can have it in the show notes. So whether you listen on the podcast or you're watching on YouTube, you will be able to find Dr. Funke and just know that you're not alone. If there's anything you're taking away from here, you're not alone. Your relationship with money is not stuck. It can
Mm.
change and evolve in a way that actually helps you create the dream that you're meant to live.
Yes.
Any last minute wisdom? I mean, so much, so much. This has been great. Any other thing you want to drop that we haven't covered that you'd like to drop with our audience before we leave?
I think we've talked about so many things. Nike says just do it, do it, just do it. Take that one next step. There's lives, sorry, waiting to be changed right at the end of your obedience. There are lives that are waiting. They are just like, okay, sitting at the edge of their seat, waiting for you to say yes to your true, authentic, big, bold self. And so, yeah, don't keep them waiting for too long. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you want to ask about my experience more under, while Dr. Latifat is not watching about MoneyFit MD. I'm more than happy to give you the lowdown. So feel
Absolutely.
free.
I want them to know the lowdown. We don't want
Yeah,
people here that we
yeah,
cannot serve. So, and I'm all about
exactly,
honesty, transparency, integrity, because we're here for important work, which is to serve the people that want to be served by us. We're
absolutely,
100% committed to that. So thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for hanging out with me and not missing today's appointment.
Oh, I know. I'm so sorry. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there.
I had to throw
you
that
just
in
you
so
just had
so
to.
they don't think we're all business and no play.
I know.
No,
Oh my God.
no,
I'm so how
no.
do
So
I? How
good,
do I?
so
I'll make it
good.
up to you. I'll
Oh,
make it up to you.
no, you already did. This was so good. No, thank you guys. We're all just humans
Yes.
doing the imperfect thing. You don't have to be perfect to be
Absolutely.
successful, to impact, to
Exactly.
help, and let us know how we can
Exactly.
support you. All
Exactly. I
right.
love
Thank
that. I
you.
just need to plug that in. I did not show up for my coach's pod. I've been looking forward to this, being interviewed by her, leveraging her platform, and I did not show up. But we are still incredible badasses. So absolutely.
Absolutely. No shame, no judgment.
Mm-mm.
The only people that will are those that have never done what you're doing before.
That's
So,
true.
all
Hmm.
right. Love you guys so much. Dr. Funke, I love you. I appreciate you. And I cannot
Thank
wait
you.
to continue to support you and see all the amazingness you continue to create in this world. It's been a pleasure. Guys, go find her. refer people to her practice, find her YouTube, stalk, like not bad stalk, but like go look at what she's doing. And like, if you need inspiration, be like her, like be like Mike kind of stuff and create your own amazingness. And of course, if we can be of support with you in this journey, in the side of the money school, make sure you just visit us at MoneyfitMD.com. You can click to schedule a free consultation with a member of our team. We're here to serve. Love you guys so much and have a good rest of the day. Goodbye.